Yo. This oxycontin, carbon monoxide, toxic concoction, collapse your brain cells. They swell from lack of oxygen, leaving opposition stuck without a pocket piston. Pocket spitting up blood, sharp by sharp precision. Thought incision, darkness embarks your vision. Sparks and friction, poof, I'm a mad magician. Verbal plasma, verbal scatter, global shatter. Every atom in your body, now your antimatter. The computer data, check the computer factor. To this round is splatter. Take my mind's faster. You throw me down the ground while I climb the ladder. Too much knowledge in your flatter on your face, now you carried by the pallbearer. All red or black suits, eyes all teared up. Oh no, when your whole makeup all smeared up. We in the rear with the smirk, nigga.
Okay, so today is what is today? June 24th. Just gonna talk about the Phillies. About the current state. They are 36-40. 7.5 games back, and they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. The bullpen, everybody knows, terrible. Besides Pat, and Pat didn't have too good of a week. 3 blown saves. The last one he didn't get help, but still he had 1 earned run. I'm gonna give you today the splits of players, the stat line for the month of June prior to June 22nd. Howard, Revere, Rollins, Don Brown, and Michael Young. To show you that there is improvement, there is reason to believe there is hope with that lineup with some of these players that you figured. Okay, so the stat line for these players, Howard, he's batting .358 with 3 home runs, .423 on base percentage, and 15 RBIs. We all know he started off slow, and history will tell us he starts off slow and he heats up as the weather gets warmer, and as the season progresses. So for me, that was expected. Now let's see if he can continue the trend that history has taught us about him. Ben Revere, a lot of questions about him. Everybody, a lot of hype surrounding. Oh, we got a leadoff man. He's fast. He can do all this. Terrible first part of the season. He's starting to heat up. .333 average, 7 stolen bases, and a .351 on base percentage. Jimmy Rollins, career average is about .270, .275. And what he's batting right now is .277. So you're getting what he normally gives you, or whatever. He's got .365 on base percentage, which everybody talks about. He doesn't get on base right, like a leadoff hitter. That's what you need, on base percentage. And he's got 9 walks. I wouldn't be surprised if he is up there with the team lead in walks. He's taken a different approach this year. Yeah, he does pop up, but you know what? We'll take a .365 on base percentage as long as he's getting on base, and as long as these players are getting on base, that means a lot, because that means when you have people on base, it means you have a chance to score. Now, hitting with runners in scoring position, that's big, and timely hitting. So we'll get to that. Don Brown, .286 average, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, and a .363 on base percentage. And Michael Young, everybody wanted to bash this guy because he was hitting into double plays. Let me tell you something. He was hitting the ball hard, and that's a good sign. They were just atom balls. And now he's got an on-base percentage of .362 for the month of June. He's got 5 doubles. He's hitting the ball hard. They're finding the gaps. Perfect example of he was doing what he was supposed to do the other day. The Phillies had a man on second. Michael Young is up to bat. It was against Matt Harvey. It was yesterday. Man on second, no out. Michael Young, what does he try to do? He tries to hit the ball the opposite side of the field and moves the runner over. Although he grounds out to the first baseman, he's still got the runner over. So the Phillies have a man on third, 1 out. Unfortunately, the Phillies, of course, you all know, did not get the run in, and the Phillies lost. Okay, so for the Phillies lineup, I would start off with Ben Revere, then Michael Young, Jimmy Rollins, Howard, Brown, Utley, Delman Young, and then Ruiz. I would stick with this lineup because for the month of June, this is the lineup that they use mostly, and it's been working. I just gave you the stat lines of the players, and then so some people would say Chase Utley, why is he batting six when he's a three-hole hitter? My counter argument to Utley being a three-hole or being in the six-hole as opposed to being inserted right back in the three-hole is why would you fix something if it isn't broke? Um, and people would say, well, he doesn't need to prove himself. He's already done it for how many years he's been here. Well, I agree with that. I'm just saying, give Utley time to warm up, like warm up in the six hole, and then you can put him right back in that three hole. And then you can put Rollins at two and then Michael Young at six. So yeah, it's not any slight towards Utley or anything. It's just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So okay, so now we bring up the topic of prospects. And then like who do they have in the farm system that they could bring up now? Personally, I would say by 2013, which is now, or 2014, they could have one, two, three, four, maybe five prospects in the field. That's currently in their farm system now without trading Cliff Lee or Jonathan Papelbon. And those prospects would be Cody Ash, Michael Franco, Darren Ruff, and Cesar Hernandez. And for Cody Ash, he could be called up. I would like to see him called up before the end of this year. His stats for at Lehigh right now are 274 average with a 331 on base percentage and 8 home runs in 72 games. Darren Ruff, he's got a 269 average, 346 on base percentage, 7 home runs in 69 games. Everybody knows about Darren Ruff. Everybody wants to see him up here. Of course, Ryan Howard is blocking him at first base. So the Phillies are working him out in the outfield. I do expect the Phillies to eventually bring him up and play him in the outfield for Delman Young. And then a catching prospect, and you're going to be surprised, but Cameron Rupp. He's a guy they drafted out of Texas a couple years back. He's 24 years old. Although he's only hitting 240 with a 313 on base percentage, he's got 8 home runs in 51 games, 41 of those games being at Reading. But I would say he's the closest to playing in the big leagues out of Tommy Joseph and Sebastian Bale and himself. Of course, he's not going to be the star, but he'll be a serviceable catcher until Joseph or Joseph or Vale are ready, or if they bring in someone else. Okay, so now we get to the bullpen. Yeah, so as we all know, the bullpen has been horrible. They do have young guys in there, and Mike Adams, they did bring him in. He's not a young guy, but they did bring him in to be the eighth inning guy. Unfortunately, he hasn't worked out, whether it be due to injury, which he currently is dealing with now, or if it's just he's lost it. I would like to believe it's injury related, and that's why he's on the DL right now. But as for the other guys, yeah, we have young guys in the bullpen. We got the Freitas, Stutz, Bastardo. That dude, he had that one good year, and then he seems like he's lost his confidence. He's unable to locate his fastball, and that's a big thing for a lot of the relievers. They're just not able to locate their stuff most of the time, and they're not aggressive, which you need to be for a reliever. You need to be aggressive. You need to attack the hitters, and that's what Papelbon does. Another guy, Felipe Amont. I don't know. He was up here earlier. I know he struggled, and I don't know his current situation. I don't know if he's injured or if he's just in the minor league still working. So we'll see about him. But yeah, the Phillies, they have young guys like Diekman, Joe Savory. A lot of people don't expect much out of him, but so yeah, uh, these young guys, they have to develop mentally. They have to learn to attack the hitters as a reliever. They still got a ways to go. Whether or not they pan out, it remains to be seen. But I know all Phillies fans hope they get it together, and you know what, and they grow a pair and start pitching like their potential is supposed to be. Okay, so now we move on to the trade deadline and what the Phillies could do. Um, they have Papelbon, Lee, and Michael Young, all favorites to be traded or with the highest chances of being moved. Papelbon, you look at what other teams could use him. You got Detroit, Boston, and St. Louis. Detroit, they have three prospects in my mind. If the Phillies wanted to trade, in a trade you don't want to do one for one like a Papelbon for a prospect unless you're just trying to get rid of the contract. But the Phillies could trade one-on-one Papelbon for Detroit's outfielder Nick Castellanos. He's number 20, the 20th prospect overall in this year. He's number one in their system. He's an outfielder, and the Phillies need an outfielder, and we'll see what happens with him. Uh, the other two people, I would package them together with Papelbon to get Papelbon, or if the Phillies, if they were to trade them Papelbon, I would want these two in return. Bruce Rondon, he's number 83rd overall prospect this year, second in their system. He's a pitcher, and he's projected to be a closer. So you could have your replacement for Papelbon there, and then the other guy would be Daniel Fields. He's an outfielder. He's sixth in their system. He's good at defense. He's fast. Uh, he has about average offensive skills, what you want to call it. So he'll need to work on that. But you figure if they get him, it would only be a year or two until he's in the majors. So we'll see about him. And then we go to Boston for Papelbon. They have a guy named Matt Barnes. He's the 36th best prospect according to scouts and for this year, and he's third in their system. He's a pitcher. He throws hard, and I like that out of pitchers. I like pitchers who throw hard and they have some size. Um, so he'd be a good return for the Phillies. And then package him also with Blake Sweetheart. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's a top 10 catcher in this year's um, class, if you want to call it, and he's eighth in Boston's system. So those are some guys I would like to see. And then we go to Cliff Lee. Obviously, a lot of people are split on what to do with Cliff Lee. Some people want to keep him. Some people say trade him. You know, we need to get younger. We need to start retooling now. Um, so I've listed as possible suitors for, or the best suitors for Lee are the Orioles, Red Sox, and Rangers. With the Rangers being the least of my favorite. But the Orioles, they have Dylan Bundy. He's the number one prospect in all of baseball. I doubt the Orioles will give him up, but they might if the Phillies just ask for him and like two other people. But so there's Dylan Bundy, and then there's Jonathan Shute. He's the 94th overall prospect in this year. He's a second baseman. You talk about replacing Chase Utley down the line. He could very well possibly be that guy to do that for you. So there's him, and he's third in their system. And then you got LJ Hose. He's a defensive outfielder. He's got an average offensive abilities. He's proven to be consistent, I believe, over the past 2 years in the minors. So maybe there is something with him. He's the sixth prospect in their system. And then Josh Hadler. He's a lefty. He's a pitcher. He's 13th in their system. And so we move on to St. Louis. They have Oscar Taveras. He's the third overall prospect in this year's class. He's an outfielder. Again, Phillies outfield need it. He's number one in their system. And then Colton Wong. He's the 71st prospect in this year's class. He's a second baseman. He's third in their system. And then you got Tyrell Jenkins. He's a right-handed pitcher. Throws really hard. 96, 97 fastball. He's fifth in their system. And then Steve Bean. He's a catcher. He's 19th in their system, but there's potential for him. He's young. I think he is either 19 or 20. I want to say he's 20 or 21, which that would never mind. But yeah, St. Louis is known. Some scouts are saying that St. Louis has the deepest farm system. So if we could pick St. Louis's farm system, that would work out for us because St. Louis this year has turned out a lot of good prospects that are producing for them so far this year. So obviously, if their development team is able to develop the prospects and we're able to get them, maybe the future will be brighter for us. And then Michael Young, I don't expect to get too much for him. As you know, the Rangers are eating his contract, and we are too. So if we get him off the books for, let's say, the Yankees need him because their third base situation is spotty. You could get their outfielder Ziolo Almonte. I think I don't know, he's their 10th prospect, I want to say. But yeah, we'll see.
Chance, acid rapper, soccer, hacky sacker, cocky, khaki, jacket, jacker, slap happy, faggot, slapper, or rocky, rocket launcher, shake that laffy, taffy, jolly, raunchy rapper, bang, bang, dang, ski, she do that thing for 3 retweets, the album feel like 92, now take that bump for he 3P, Chance, whole acid, cruising on that LSD, ask yourself about my deal, he look back, say, hell yeah, let's see, this shit my favorite song, you just don't know the words, but I still fuck with you, you just ain't never heard. It go like count that stack.